Lamada. He will be starting soon. Oh, story time with Mr. Lamada, where all your dreams come true. Oh, he brings to life your favorite stories with a great big smile. You won't leave lonely, won't you start all the reading? I just can't wait to be hearing story time with Mr. Lamada. He will be starting soon. Oh, story time with Mr. Lamada, where all your dreams come true. Oh, he brings to life your favorite stories with a great big smile. You won't leave lonely, won't you start all the reading? I just can't wait to be hearing.
Good morning and welcome to Storytime. Happy Monday wherever you're joining us from today. Glad you're here with me. How are you doing? How was your weekend? I hope that you had a lovely one indeed. Thank you so much for being here on Storytime. Wherever you're joining us from, please leave us a message. Let us know you were here. Let us know where you're joining in from, and let us know who is joining in with you. This week is special. So many things coming together. It is indeed a confluence of events, and we'll try here on Storytime to celebrate each and every one of those, and indeed just recognize them. Of course, we know that yesterday and today was Eid, or is Eid, and yes, as we celebrate with our Muslim friends on the end of the fasting period of Ramadan, and today is Eid as they break the fast. Thank you so much for joining in, and I hope that you can learn a little bit more from your neighborhood. And if you have Muslim colleagues in the neighborhood, please ask around. Ask what it all means. Thank you so much for being here, and we'll try here on Storytime to celebrate that today. Of course, it was May Day yesterday as well. Yes, International Labor Day, and of course, workers' rights. We continue the fight, just as it was here in Oakland on Friday. We had a one-day strike for the teachers and the longshoremen, and yes, we continue to fight for that. And yes, the union movement, the workers' rights movement right now seems to have momentum, as we've seen with Amazon workers unionizing, as well as Starbucks and many others continuing to build from the ground up. So keep working. We keep encouraging you, and indeed it is important. We hope that we won't be talking about livable wage and all those things in years to come. So thank you so much for joining in. Another important event there. And then on Thursday, of course, is May 5th, and that is Cinco de Mayo. And this one makes me laugh because I did get a student who asked me the other day, is like, Mr. Limata, when is Cinco de Mayo? And the interesting thing is that because this student speaks Spanish, so it made me laugh. And after thinking about it a while, of course, laughing about it, we're able to get to the bottom what Cinco de Mayo is. Thank you so much for joining in. So we'll be trying to look at that as well. And then, of course, it is springtime. I hope that you're enjoying your spring where you are, deep into spring, and I hope that you're enjoying it. So we have two good books that will take us through the sights and sounds of spring. Thank you so much for being here. Good morning to you, and welcome to Storytime. And of course, to kick off our week this very special week, we have Crescent, Moons, and Pointed Minarets, a Muslim book of shapes. This one coming to you from Hena, and illustrations by Mehrdokht, Amini. Thank you so much for joining in, and I'm glad you're here. And of course, this one is coming to you from Chronicle Books of San Francisco. A big thank you to them for allowing us to share this wonderful book here and many others on Storytime. And of course, this week, many more to come from Chronicle Books. Thank you so much for joining in, and welcome. Yes, Crescent, Moons, and Pointed Minarets. This one coming to you from Chronicle Books of San Francisco. Get comfortable, get cozy, get ready for this one. It is coming very, very shortly. Let us see who is with us this morning, ready to say hello, and of course, ready to enjoy this wonderful story and indeed all the different celebrations that are coming together this week. Thank you so much for joining in. Good morning to you, Chrissy Mitchell Adams. How are you doing out in Vermont, where it is great today? Oakland is looking great too. I've not checked the weather, but right now from my window it looks pretty gray. Welcome to Storytime. Bowden, thank you so much for joining in Storytime today, and we are glad you're here and you're saying hello to everyone that is joining in Storytime. Well, thank you. Bowden and Chrissy out in Vermont. Thank you so much for joining in Storytime. Absolutely appreciate you. Glad you're here with us. Good morning to you. And Chrissy, I was editing your video earlier and yeah, so it's like I've been talking to you longer this morning. Thank you so much for joining in and welcome. Good morning to you, Kate. How are you doing? And good to see you, Theo and Garrick out in Pittsburgh, where it's also cloudy today. Thank you for joining in. Good to see you back here on Storytime Live. Thank you so much for joining in. Theo, Garrick, and of course, Kate out in Pittsburgh. Thank you so much for joining in Storytime. Good morning to you and welcome. Much appreciated. Good morning to you from sunny Sacramento. Good morning to you, Marietta. Good to see you. Safe trip back today. Thank you so much for joining in. Oh my goodness, it was such a pleasure meeting you in person. Absolutely appreciated it. I should have shared the picture today, but we'll definitely be doing that tomorrow. Thank you so much for joining in. Good to see you. And I see you already awake. Thank you for joining us for story time at 7 on the West Coast. Thank you so much for being here. Good morning to you, and I hope you enjoyed your stay in California. Thank you so much for joining in, and good morning one more time. Marietta and Henry, good morning to you as well. Sending you love out in Massachusetts. Good morning to you, Amanda West. How are you doing today? And of course, Sarah and Nathan, hugs to you. Good morning to you out in sunny and pleasant Illinois. Well, thank you so much for bringing us that sunshine and pleasantness today. Thank you so much for joining in. Absolutely appreciate you, Sarah and Nathan, and of course Amanda West. Good morning to you and welcome to Story Time. Good to know. Good to know you love this book. It is indeed a beautiful one. We borrowed it multiple times from our library. Yes, please remember to utilize those libraries. They are our resources. They are there for us. Remind your neighbor, remind your friends to visit the library and find those books and other resources that you can get from there. Thank you so much for joining in Story Time and welcome. Thank you, Chrissy, for that beautiful reminder. Thank you indeed. Good morning to you, Ali Amin, out in Washington. Oh, feeling a little sick today. Oh, I'm glad you're here though, and I hope that, reading this book and of course also just celebrating together, I hope that it helps you feel a little bit better. Sending you hugs and love and indeed well wishes and all positive vibes. Thank you so much for joining in, celebrating Eid today. Well, thank you indeed. And please, if there are any tips, any other things that we're missing out that you can share with us about Eid, please share away, and so we can teach us here, we can learn from you as well. Thank you so much for joining in Storytime. We do have a wonderful book today in honor of Eid, and this one is called Crescent, Moons, and Pointed Minarets, a Muslim book of shapes. And of course, we're going to also just start with reading the author's note, and then we'll go into our story. And this one is coming to you from Hena and illustrations by Mehrdokht Amini. And of course, it is coming to you from Chronicle Books of San Francisco. A big thank you indeed to them for allowing us to read all their amazing stories here on Storytime. Find them at your local library, just like Chrissy and Bowden did. Find them at your local library and get to enjoy them over and over and over again at home. Thank you so much for joining in. Yes, happy Eid, everybody, and indeed May Day as well. Happy May Day and everything else that is coming. Cinco De Mayo, spring, everything. Thank you so much for joining in Storytime. Eid, happy Eid. And tell me, Ali Amin, if this is right too. I know you say Eid Mubarak. Mubarak. I hope that is a phrase that is used, and I'm using it correctly too. Thank you so much for joining in Story Time. Get comfortable, get cozy. We're back for a story after this short break. Join me on the other side. Thank you so much for being here on Story Time. Appreciations all around.
Hola, my name is Shamile Sayed Mendez, and I am the author of Where Are You From, Furia, and many other books for young readers. You're watching Story Time with Mr. Limara.
Welcome back. Crescent moons and pointed minarets, a Muslim book of shapes. And this one is coming to you from Hena and illustrations by Mehrdokht Amini. And we're reading it with permission of Chronicle Books of San Francisco. A beautiful one indeed. And I hope you enjoy it. Sit back, relax. And of course, if you've had it before or you have it at home, follow along as we read this one today. But we're going to start with the author's note because I just love what Hena Khan says in this one. And of course, too, there's a whole guide, glossary on how to pronounce some of the words and what they are. And I hope I can remember as we read. But the author's note says, shapes and geometry play an important part in Islamic art and architecture. Because the worship of idols is strictly forbidden in Islam, depictions of God and his prophets are prohibited. Muslim artists are also discouraged from using the human form or animals in their art. Instead, they often use decorative Arabic lettering called calligraphy, motifs from nature like flowers and leaves called arabesques, and as seen in this book, geometric patterns in their designs. When Muslim mathematicians and astronomers made significant contributions to science and technology, particularly in the 8th and 9th centuries, their discoveries also influenced Islamic art and architecture, resulting in ever more complex geometric patterns. Geometric shapes like circles, stars, squares, hexagons, and octagons are duplicated and overlapped to form the basis of most patterns found in Islamic art. You can find these shapes and the patterns made from these shapes in large structures like mosques, palaces, and gardens. They also adorn walls, floors, windows, and everyday objects such as furniture, ceramics, and clothing. In this book, each spread depicts a different country from around the world with beautiful examples of Islamic art, architecture, and culture. And you can read that author's note anytime you have that book and go back and just so we get a clearer understanding of what's going on. All right, here we go with a book for today. Crescent Moons and Pointed Minarets, a Muslim book of shapes by Hena Khan, illustrations by Mehrdokht Amini, and being read with the permission of Chronicle Books of San Francisco. Thank you so much for being here. Happy Eid. All right, here we go. Cone is the tip of the minaret so tall, I hear soft echoes of the prayer call. This page actually reminds me of my hometown in Lusaka, and of course in Fairview. If you're in Lusaka, there's a place called Madras, and there's a huge mosque there, and you can hear the ringing, the call, the prayer call every day, you know, in the morning, afternoon, and also in the evenings. And so just that reminds me of home. Cone is the tip of the minaret so tall, I hear soft echoes of the prayer call. Can you see those shapes? Can you see the cone shape? Don't forget to point out those shapes. What else? Rectangle is the mosque's carved wooden door, filled with a pattern that riches the floor. Oh, do you see that pattern? Do you see the shape? Rectangle is the mosque's carved wooden door, filled with a pattern that riches the floor. Octagon is a fountain, its water so blue, I wash before prayers and make my wudu. And what shape is an octagon? Did I hear that? Oh, you can type it in there too. Yes, what shape is an octagon? Count the sides on that. Or even here. Octagon is a fountain. It's water so blue. I wash before prayers and make my wudu. Triangle is a mimbar's thin set of stairs. We hear a short sermon before Friday prayers. Yes. Triangle is a mimbar's thin set of stairs. Can you see those triangles? We hear a short sermon before Friday prayers. What else? You see all those triangles there? Well, arch is the mihrab that guides our way. We stand and face it each time we pray. Arch is the mihrab that guides our way. We stand and face it each time we pray. Cube is the Kaaba, a most sacred site where Muslims worship each day and night. Cube is the Kaaba, a most sacred site where Muslims worship each day and night. Square is a garden with sweet orange trees, a hint of Jannah on its fragrant breeze. Square is a garden with sweet orange trees, a hint of Jannah on its fragrant breeze. Oh, I want to walk in that garden. Sounds so sweet, doesn't it? Circle is a daf, a drum large and round. We fill the air with its festive sound. Circle is a daf, a drum large and round. We fill the air with its festive sound. Oh. Hexagon is a tile bold and bright, painted with an ayah I love to recite. Hexagon is a tile bold and bright, painted with an ayah I love to recite. How many sides is an octagon? Oh, count away. How many are those? Oh, yes. Hexagon is a tile bold and bright, painted with an ayah I love to recite. Oval is a table where we break our fast. When the sun sets, it's iftar time at last. Oval is the table where we break our fast. When the sun sets, it's iftar time at last. Oh, that looks so delicious. Diamond is the design on my new Eid clothes. A kaftan so long that it reaches my toes. Isn't that beautiful? Diamond is the design on my new Eid clothes. A kaftan so long that it reaches my toes. Ah, beautiful indeed. Crescent is the moon, brilliant in the sky. It whispers salam as the day passes by. Crescent is the moon, brilliant in the sky. It whispers salam as the day passes by. Oh. So much beauty in the shapes that I see adds to my faith and the world around me. Oh, so true. So much beauty in the shapes that I see adds to my faith and the world around me. So much beauty in the shapes that I see adds to my faith and the world around me. And that is the end. And just maybe one or two words. So we did read about iftar, and iftar is a light meal eaten at sunset upon completing a fast during the holy month of Ramadan. And another one that I wanted to touch on too was the wudu. Wudu, a ritual washing of the hands, arms, face, head, and feet before prayer. And what else? How about a daf? A large frame drum commonly used in the Near East and Central Asia, especially during weddings and on Eid. It is often played by women. And there's so much more that we can learn from that glossary on the back. And of course, the author's note that was put on there as well. Thank you so much for joining in Storytime today. I hope you enjoyed that lovely book. Happy Eid to our friends, indeed everybody out there that is breaking their fast right now after ending the month of Ramadan, and indeed starting this new month and 2 days of festivities. Thank you so much for joining in Storytime today. Absolutely appreciate you. And indeed, this world, we talk of an inclusive world, and this is what it should be. We should be learning about all cultures and indeed celebrating everyone in this world. Thank you so much for being here on Storytime. And yes, learning never ends. We learn something new today and we keep learning something new again tomorrow, and that's how we grow. Thank you so much for being here on Storytime. Absolutely appreciate you. And indeed, this encourages me to even dig deeper into Muslim culture and just learn a bit more for myself too, and indeed so that I can contribute better to my community. Thank you so much for being here, and I encourage you to do the same. Find those books, find out where you can learn more, and indeed get to celebrate. And of course, if you're celebrating, if you're just finished your Ramadan, well, we say to you, happy Eid, and we wish you a wonderful day indeed. Thank you so much for joining in Storytime. And please, if you have recommendations of books, things, that resources that we can share here on Storytime, please send them my way so that we can indeed be able to share them and of course learn from them as well. So please do send them my way. You can either message me or indeed give us a message, or even just here reach out during Storytime and let me know, and I'll do my very best to get those things, those resources together in a place where people can find them. We'll add a link where people can go to on our website at storytimewithmrlimada.com, and you can read more about resources like that, and indeed get to share in and just become better citizens in our communities, better neighbors. Thank you so much for joining in Storytime. Absolutely appreciate you. Let us see who was with us one more time and got to enjoy that lovely story indeed. Well, thank you indeed. I am glad you're here to say yes. We said Eid Mubarak in Arabic, week. Today we wear new clothes, have a special community prayer, and last night we paid charity for each person in our home. Oh my goodness. Thank you so much for teaching us all that. And indeed, we learn every day. Thank you so much. I absolutely appreciate it and hope that your new clothes have all the beautiful patterns on them. Enjoy it, and please have a lovely day indeed. Thank you so much for joining us on Storytime today and indeed teaching us. Ali, Amin, and Jessica out in Washington, we appreciate you so much. Thank you for being a part of the Storytime community. Absolutely love it. Thank you so much for being here. And Chrissy and you and Bolden, and you say great story time. Bolden likes your t-shirt. Well, Bolden, thank you so much. I will be in touch about that, Chrissy, very soon. Thank you so much for joining in Storytime. Absolutely appreciate you. And yes, indeed, Storytime merch will be coming your way very soon. Just working on a few things to finish up before we can roll it all out. But indeed, special gifts coming people's ways as well. So please keep your ears open and indeed check your mailboxes regularly, because something from Storytime is coming your way. Thank you so much for being here. Absolutely appreciate everybody, and indeed being thankful for just being in the world, thankful to be able to have breath today, thankful to have communities that we appreciate and that we know appreciate us. I'm really thankful for that. And of course, yesterday meeting you, Marietta, out here in California, and the internet bringing us together, of course, I absolutely appreciate that, and it just felt so special. And thank you for taking the time to let me know that you would be in the area, and so that we would meet up for sure. Please, if you're in the area, let me know that you're coming to a place near me, and I will do my very best to meet you and indeed just share maybe a coffee or something. Thank you so much for joining in Storytime today. Always a pleasure to be in this space. I just love it so much, and drives my mornings, drives my days. And I hope that as you leave here too, you leave here with a smile, you leave here with good intentions of going into the world with positive vibes. And sometimes like life throws us so many different things, so I hope that you're able to face those things with a little more oomph, a little more strength, and realize too that there are people that love you, there are people that appreciate you, even as the tough gets the going gets tough at times. Thank you so much for being here on Storytime. Hugs to each and every one of you. Happy Eid, as we've said before today, but indeed enjoy it. And of course, I learned so much today, and I hope that you learned something new too. But please join us tomorrow, as we'll be focusing on May Day. I know May Day was May 1st, but we had to celebrate Eid today, and tomorrow we're back for a special book. This one indeed is called A is for Activist, from award-winning author, illustrator Inosanto Nagara, coming to you as we remind ourselves to continue the fight. The struggle continues. Thank you so much for being here on Storytime. I cannot stop smiling when I'm here. This is just a testament to all your goodness out there. Thank you so much. I appreciate you, and I really hope that you have a wonderful day today. And of course, God willing, I hope that we join each other again tomorrow for more story time, 7 a.m. Pacific time. But you can also join us at 11 a.m. Pacific time for the recordings of the morning show. Thank you so much for being here. Hugs to you. And I will see you again tomorrow for more story time. Bye-bye.
Story time with Mr. Lumada. He will be starting soon. Oh, story time with Mr. Lumada, where all your dreams come true. Oh, he brings to life your favorite stories with a great big smile. You won't leave lonely. Won't you start all the reading? I just can't wait to be hearing story time with Mr. Lumada. He will be starting soon. Oh. Stolamata, where all your dreams come true. Oh, he brings to life your favorite stories with a great big smile. You won't leave lonely, won't you start all the reading? I just can't wait to be hearing where all your dreams come true. Oh, he brings to life your favorite stories with a great big smile. You won't live lonely, won't you start all the reading? We just can't wait to be hearing. Brings to life your favorite stories with a great big smile. You won't live lonely, won't you start all the reading? We just can't wait to be